In this video, I want to talk about the changes that you can implement if you feel like you are tired all the time, if you feel like you just are desperate for more energy, and how to implement those changes. I used to think that if you went to sleep at the same time, woke up at the same time, you got in your 8 hours, that was a good sleep. And then I learned about this concept from author Jade Wu that really changed how I thought about tiredness and fatigue. And that's the idea that some people will feel more tired after 8 hours of sleep because their brain is more active even when they are asleep. This is called hyperarousal. So if someone experiences hyperarousal, they could get the exact same amount of sleep as the person next to them and feel more tired afterwards. Hyperarousal is this heightened state of awareness. So it could be that you're thinking too much, too quickly, you're in problem-solving mode, or you're worried, anxious, stressed, or you're really excited and your brain's just going a mile a minute. And if you hear that and you're like, yeah, I get that during my days, there's a chance that you take that into your sleep with you. So your brain is actually getting the rest that it needs. Because if you aren't doing something to stop your brain from worrying, it's gonna keep on going at night. And if you're going through your days and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, there's a good chance that you're experiencing hyperarousal. In a sleep study with 20 people, 7 of them had chronic insomnia. And what they found is that everyone actually slept around about the same amount of time. But in the people with chronic insomnia, their brains were working harder as they slept and when they were awake. So they'd wake up feeling more exhausted and they'd feel more fatigued during the day. So even though on paper you might be having good, consistent sleeps, this could be why you wake up after 8 hours and feel like you barely slept. So what do you do to turn this hyperarousal off? What can you do to shut your brain down a little before you go to sleep? The first critical thing that you need to do, which is so easy to not take seriously, but is so important to do, is to create an off-ramp into sleep. You can't go from brain whirring at 100 miles an hour to immediately going to sleep and have a good quality sleep. Instead, you need to take action to turn off that hyperarousal mode before you go to sleep as much as you can. Think of it like closing all the programs on your computer before you shut it down. Firstly, get the orange lights. They're not going to change your life. They are going to help your brain to realize, hey, we're winding down now. The second thing I like to do are facial massages. I don't know what it is. This gets me out of my head and into my body. Number 3, use some of the many sleep activities that are on Calm to quieten your mind. The track I've been listening lately that I've been absolutely obsessed with is the Woodland Stroll to Sleep. I don't know what's in it, but it puts my mind at rest.
These are ancient beech trees, hundreds of years old.
It's got sleep stories voiced by people like Harry Styles and a bunch of other people. It also has nature music and general meditations that are designed to help you boost your focus, work through your stress, build healthier habits, and take better care of your physical well-being too. They have expert-led talks. There's also interviews. I saw an interview with Fred Luskin in there, and it was so good. They even have a mini-series with Dr. Judd Brewer, who I love. If you want to create an off-ramp before you go to sleep so that you're having a good quality sleep, Calm has so many activities to help. To access Calm and everything that they have to offer, go to calm.com or use my link in the description. That's calm.com. The next thing that you need to learn is what to do when you feel tired during the day. What I've learned is that there are 2 types of tiredness, 2 categories of tiredness. There is sleepy tiredness, your eyes are closing, you need a nap. And then there's stagnant tiredness. So here's the one question that I like to use to help me to determine the difference between am I stagnant or am I sleepy? Do I feel like I want a sugary treat or a scroll on TikTok right now? Or do I just want to crash and lie in bed and close my eyes? You can usually tell that you're stagnant because you're in seeking mode. Your brain is seeking for something that is quick and novel that's going to make you energized. You can't sleep away stagnancy because you're not sleepy. You're understimulated. And when your brain feels understimulated, it's going to direct you towards the quickest source of stimulation that it can think of, which usually is sugar or scrolling or some kind of quick fix. While those sources of energy work initially, right after you have a sugary treat or a scroll on your phone, your brain is like, yes, okay, feeling pepped up. 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, it's not gonna last. In a 1987 study, they gave a bunch of people a candy bar, and then they gave a bunch of other people instructions to go on a 10-minute walk. Then they had those people track their levels of tiredness, energy, fatigue for the next 2 hours. Obviously, we know who ended up feeling more energized within those 2 hours. But if I had to guess, the people who ate the candy bar probably more immediately felt quite energized. And they had to use way less activation energy to get that little hit. So of course, your brain would reinforce that loop as a positive one that it wants to repeat. If your default is to go for the candy or to go for a scroll, just pay attention to how it affects your energy. As always, my go-to line is awareness always beats knowledge when it comes to behavior change. I can sit here and tell you all day that a walk is better than a candy bar. You have to experience that, and you have to notice the experience of that for any change to actually happen. Because even though you know it logically, your brain isn't getting it yet. Behavior change is always going to require mindful awareness, not just knowledge. The next idea that I want to talk about is the weirdest. It's something that I haven't really heard people talk about in relation to tiredness and being more energized during the day, but it works really well for me, so I want to talk about it. So across 41 different studies, when it comes to your personal levels of effort, motivation, and performance, any form of choice beats no choice alternatives. So that means something as small as choosing the color of your notebook for the next task that's on your plate has a positive impact on your levels of motivation, effort, and performance. A choice as small as that can make a difference. When people feel robbed of choice, when they have absolutely no choice in what they do and how they do it, it makes them sluggish. It lowers their motivation levels, which lowers their energy. Here's an easy thing that I do all the time if I want to add more choice in my day that immediately leaves me feeling more energized and also just more invigorated and excited about doing anything. And that is, before you go to do any new task, write down 5 to 10 choices. The choices that you write down could be about what task to do next, but they also could be about how you approach the upcoming task. So if you don't really have a choice about what task you do, they've found that even little choices make a difference. Little choices like where you do that task or what notebook you use to do that task can give you a sense of autonomy. And if you like this approach to getting things done generally, you might have a bit more of a flexible approach to productivity. I have 2 videos that you'd probably enjoy. One is on 5 different ways to plan your day that aren't time blocking or really rigid. Another one is a recent video I made about consistency, but it's flexible consistency. I talk about this exact strategy, but apply it in a slightly different way. I'm gonna have those videos linked in the description. There's something to be said about the difference between a day full of shoulds, have tos, okay, gotta get myself to do that type tasks, versus a day where you sit down and you go, okay, I'm gonna make a choice. I'm gonna give myself choices. This is gonna be a day of as much autonomy as I can manage. Obviously, it's good to get better at handling sluggishness and stagnation when they come up, but what can you do to actually prevent those things in the first place? Small, tiny exercise snacks. If you're listening to this and you're like, yes, I know, obviously movement would make me less tired, but you're not actually moving, I have some thoughts that might help you because I get it. I'm someone who struggled to get myself to move, and in the last 2 to 3 years, I've gotten a lot more consistent with not only my workouts, but I would say just my day-to-day movement. And as someone who has had to go through that journey, I want to banish the idea that movement needs to be chunky, big, unenjoyable, rigid, even structured. Exercise snacks should be little bits of movement that feel so easy that it's almost effortless to get yourself to do them. So for me, dropping down and doing 5 squats in the middle of my kitchen feels almost effortless to get myself to do. Not effortless physically, but effortless mentally. For you, dropping down and doing a 1-minute plank could feel almost effortless to get yourself to do. Or walking up and down the hallway at work could feel almost effortless. Chair marching while you do your emails. Whatever it is, find your favorite way of moving your body that feels, once again, almost effortless to get yourself to do. And then do it 5 to 10 times a day. If you can think of some good cues, like for example, I go to the bathroom, I do 5 squats. Before I sit down at my desk again, I march on the spot for a minute. That can be really helpful. One of the biggest blocks to getting yourself to exercise and to move is all or nothing thinking. This sense of, well, there's a point in exercise if it's not me going to the gym for an hour. Something I say all the time is the kindest thing that you can do with any kind of behavior change is to not lie to yourself. And that also applies here. Be real. If punching the air 5 times is the only thing that feels almost effortless mentally to get yourself to do that. Something is always better than nothing. The more honest you are with what type of exercise feels possible for you, feels easy for you, the easier it will be for you to stick to doing exercise snacks throughout your day. And this isn't just me making this suggestion. They've tested this. Bursts of movement increase your energy. They did an experiment where they got a bunch of participants to sit down in a lab for 3 hours and they were doing nothing. So no work, no distractions, no phones. The only variable was that one group sat the entire time. The other group broke it up with half squats for a minute every 20 minutes. The squatters naturally kept the blood flowing to their brain more. They did better on focus and problem solving tests. They even reported less fatigue and sharper concentration. Whereas the people who just sat got foggier and felt sluggier. And that goes to show it wasn't just workload or mental fatigue that was making them tired. It was simply sitting. If you like this video and you're thinking, okay, I want to create this wind down routine, I want to create these behavior changes, but I struggle a bit with consistency. I have a whole video that I made recently all about how to be more consistent in a more flexible way. That's going to be linked on the screen as well as down below. I create videos about behavior change, productivity. If that's your kind of thing, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you so much and I'll see you soon.